Hey everyone, thank you for stopping by my channel. My name is Mark, and in this video I wanted to talk to you about life and death. More specifically, what if I told you that you actually have your idea of life and death completely backwards? I got some really cool information from my guide yesterday and I wanted to pass that along in this video, so stay tuned. Hey everyone, thank you so much for stopping by my channel. If you have not already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. So with Mercury retrograde kicking in again today, I have been feeling a little bit detached really the past few days, and a little more emotional as far as identifying with emotions, or actually not identifying, but feeling the emotions, not identifying, trying to heal them, but really recognizing them. And they've come up charged. I've had a lot of weird things going on around my house, things that are coming up all at once, things to deal with, stuff like that, that I recognize as just opportunity to release, heal, and grow. But what's been happening with the planets in June and the energy that's incoming, and now Mercury retrograde, it's been really, really interesting to say the least. But I was able to really get centered yesterday and connect with my spirit guide. And he came in and he had a really interesting perspective for me regarding life and death. Now, I've lost both my parents within the past few years. And my dad recently, when he passed, I was really aware of what was going on with him from a spiritual perspective, from a soul point of view and multidimensional point of view. He would give me little clues as to what he was experiencing, which was quite amazing. But my guide yesterday came through, we were talking, and he was telling me, he said, you know, from a multidimensional perspective, from our soul's point of view, we have it backwards. We're born into this world, and we age, we grow, we age, we get older, and then we die. That's the life cycle, right? Well, while we're alive, we fear this thing called death, because we feel that death is going to remove something from us. We're going to lose something. And that's how we go through life. That's just programming. That's just what we're taught. Religion, education, we see our bodies age, we advance, and we die. And there's a lot of fear regarding death, surrounding death, because we feel like we lose something. And that again is just programming. So he was telling me, he said, we hear from this perspective, from the 3D perspective, when we look at being born, life, and death, we are looking at it completely backwards. What's happening is when we're born, from the multidimensional, from our soul's point of view, we are really essentially dying at that moment. We're being thrust into a body. We're taking our first breath, which anchors the soul into the body. And essentially, we're enlivening our five senses, our five earthly senses. And we're shifting our focus away from our multidimensional soul to our surroundings. And at that moment, there is something that is lost. It's the loss of the oneness. It's the loss of our multidimensionalness. It's gone. So he was telling me, he said, I know as babies and as children, we're open and we have communication with our multidimensional perspective. And that we know, but it's really, the more we're here in the body, we're anchored more and more from the traumas and the conditioning that we have, that we lose that. So when we look at it from our soul's perspective, it's really a death process, isn't it? We're coming from knowing, all-knowing oneness into a body, being cut off from our soul's energy on a consciousness level and focusing it here. So we could say that that's death. That is the experience of death from your soul's perspective. Now what happens is when we get older and we age and we go through the process of life, And we're here at this time now to experience what do we call an awakening, where we open back up to our multidimensionalness, our higher self, our soul, and bring that consciousness down here. It's really like a birth, isn't it? Isn't that like being born, almost being like reborn per se, right? We are opening up to something greater. We're opening up to a wider reality. And for those that awaken during their life, that have come here, that's their mission, is to awaken, ground this energy. We're, the light workers, it's who we are, and work with this energy and ground it and help others to awaken so that we could all ascend with Gaia and ascend the solar system. Everything goes up in vibration. What we're doing is we are awakening to higher aspects of ourself. We're being reborn. We're birthing these into our consciousness, birthing higher aspects of us. So for those that don't awaken during their life, they awaken at what we call, from this perspective, death, as they're dying. And I saw this process as my dad approached death, as he started to awaken more and more and more. So from his perspective, he was experiencing essentially a birthing, a rebirth of himself, being reborn, so to speak, to his multidimensional energy, and able to start to operate from that consciousness to some extent. From my perspective, being here, or from my relatives, those who knew him, the people that worked with him at the assisted living home, from the 3D perspective, saw somebody getting frail and somebody dying. Okay, death, losing something. The body gets frail, the energy stops flowing freely, the body ages quickly, and we feel like something is being lost. And the person who's going through this experience in the beginning can actually feel that they're losing something, they're approaching death, when they're really anchored and not open to their higher dimensional energy. But if at that point they could start to relax, and the fear kind of lessens, they start to feel that there's something else there, a presence within. And if they can align with that, as they're approaching death, the fear kind of subsides. I know we've all seen this. People would say, oh, they would be fearful, and then all of a sudden they're not fearful, they're accepting, because they have opened up to something greater. They no longer feel that they're going to lose something. They're actually sensing that they're gaining something. They're being born. Okay, so from our perspective here in 3D, it's a loss, it's losing something. From their perspective, it's being reborn. The loss occurs when we enter the physical body in 3D. The loss, the separation, it's the losing of the oneness, the connectedness, is what's lost at that moment. So it was a really interesting conversation, especially with the energy of June. Like I said, I've been working on myself a lot, trying to work through some of this programming that's been coming up. And I was able to finally I just made the choice. And this is how it happens all the time. I'm going to connect with my guide. All through the weekend, I really have not connected because I was working. Again, my focus was on working through the stuff I had around the house, trying to visualize, see the programming and just realizing, not visualizing, but realizing that it's coming up to be cleared. And yesterday morning at the office, again, I went in, sitting at my desk, and I decided to connect up with my guide, and boom, instantly did that. This information started to come through, and it was just so amazing to me to be able to ground this, and I wanted to share it with you guys because if you sit with this, I think you'll really feel what I'm talking about, and you're going to realize that it resonates because we've got it wrong. And the education system and religion and things like that, they want us to really fear death because that's how we can be controlled. A fearful society is a society that can be controlled. So we tend to buy into that because we're programmed, right? Here we are alive, and when we die, we lose this aliveness, when in reality it's flipped. standing here today, we are cut off from, even if we're awakened, we're cut off from a greater aspect of ourselves that we have not yet ascended into. Okay, so it is completely flipped. And that's what I wanted to get across to you guys. Yeah, again, very fascinating. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment if you wish below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. You'll be notified the next time I release a video. And of course, hit that like button if you enjoyed this. Thank you so much.